So hello and welcome everyone. Hello. It's another episode of Lenslist on AiR, and I'm incredibly proud, honored, happy as always. But this time specifically because there's amazing Okuhle here with us. Like, hello, Okuhle.
Hi everyone. Hi.
A round of applause because you definitely deserve it. I'm honestly incredibly happy that we're together here.
Thank you so much. It's honestly a dream come true.
I think you generally manifested it, and I think I did it as well because I really wanted to talk to you. So, all of these thoughts, they just came to conclusion. This is amazing.
Yes.
So I know that, there is not a lot of information about you. So I think that this interview will be amazing. Exactly. You're like a mystical person, which is actually very in tune with your work, but we're going to dive into it a little bit further more. But like the first question, obviously, that pops into my head is like basically how did you decide to start with AiR? Because I generally don't think anyone knows it. How does your story, combine, start, and all of that? Tell us, please.
Okay, so I'm going to try and speed through this as quickly as I can. I'm basically from South Africa, born and raised there. And basically last year, my husband and I, basically decided that we were going to move abroad. But the reason behind all of that was obviously because of his work, but it also came around at a time at which my articles of contract, because I was working at a law firm, came to an end. And it seemed like a good idea at the time to actually just use this breakaway to sort of actually reset and for me to actually go back to the things that I enjoyed, because I wasn't really happy in corporate and I really felt like that I needed to find a way to express myself, but in a way that wasn't like outdated and jaded, because I used to draw and stuff like back in school. But I know that there are different ways to do that now, and I've always liked to be, in tune with the latest technology. So I think it was probably sometime this time last year or about just over a year ago, I was sitting and I was like, how do you make Instagram filters? Because I'm a huge fan of like Paige's work, Jefferson, the greats, Dennis, everybody. And so I was like, how do they do it? Like,
how do they actually do it? Like, what step by step?
Is there like a school? Is there like, how do you do it? And also because I also got to a point where like I could see that like normal people were making like filters and brands were sort of like coming out, and I was like, no, really, this is pretty interesting. Like, well, what the hell is this stuff? So I went and I sort of looked it up on the web, and I discovered Spark AiR. And obviously I knew there were different other platforms, but that seemed quite appealing to me because I enjoy Instagram and Facebook, and I use Instagram quite a lot. Like, it's like one of my primary forms of communication. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, this looks cool. So I downloaded the software and I was hooked. I think I watched every tutorial there ever was. I joined the community immediately, and I was hooked. I've been hooked ever since. So that's basically how I started. Yeah.
And I did not want to interrupt you, but like, wait, law firm, like law graduate? how did it happen? Like, wow.
Yeah, so like, I tried as best as I could to listen to my parents. I did very well in school. I was a gifted young child growing up. I was a bit of a rebel in high school. Didn't take school quite as seriously, but I still made it through relatively well. And I've always been sort of like creative. But the unfortunate thing is that I think I grew up in a time where, like, if you're like a gifted child, you're always told, oh, be an engineer, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be this, be that. And nobody ever says, because I really wanted to be a graphic designer because I really enjoyed art. I did really well at art. But at the time, it wasn't considered something that was fruitful or lucrative career. It was just like, if you're the last born or if you have really rich parents, you can afford to do something like that. For somebody like me, I had to do well in school, and I got into law school, and that's what I did. I did 4 years of law school, got my degree, enrolled for my master's, which I haven't completed.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Master degrees are always like that.
Yeah. And then I started a 2-year contract at a law firm. So I was doing banking law, litigation, conveyancing, a little bit of everything, really.
Wow.
And at the time, I was passionate about law. I really did feel like, I want to help people, that kind of stuff. But then it also just became, and I wasn't doing really well. I was doing really well at it as well. But I think it boiled down to just me as a person. I realized I can't do this for the rest of my life. I remember there was a point in time I was sitting in the canteen, and it was just like this moment, like you have in the movies, like I want to say like this freeze moments in the Matrix where everything just like goes in slow motion around you. And I was sitting in the canteen, and some ladies were having an argument, and and there was a court case coming, and this and that, and I couldn't eat my lunch. I was stressed. I just sat there, and I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. This doesn't make me happy. And I think that's when I think the seed was planted for me to actually decide, okay, let me just go back to what it is I really enjoy, which is being creative, being expressive, whether it's in the way that I dress, my hair, and the way that I speak sometimes, creative writing. Those are all the things that
just inspire you, and basically this is what keeps you going.
Yeah, that's
so
what
like
keeps me.
Yeah, so I think that this decision was like very hard for you, obviously, because when you have such a safe space, you work for a big firm, you have an amazing, like, it kind of difficult because it is incredibly difficult sphere and all of that, but you're already in it. It's very hard for you just, to make a decision. Okay, I'm leaving it, and I'm leaving it not for another safe option, but as you said, for something that is totally like, you don't know what's going to happen, for something new, for something that cannot be predicted, for something that, for example, our parents are do not really understand, because for them it's like just like a hobby, or as you said, for a younger child or something like that. So I feel your burden and how responsible you had to take it, how much responsibility.
Yeah. But I was so lucky because like my parents and my partner were also super supportive, because and I think it had to do with the fact that, like I said, I was lucky enough to do things the right way. So I went to school, got the job, did a little bit of like professional work, and then got married, and then it was like, okay, you can do whatever it is you want. So now
because you had all of the steps. You completed all of the journey. Yes, exactly.
So now I have the freedom to actually just do what makes me happy. And I'm so glad that AiR is that for me, because it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like I'm having fun every time I sit in front of my computer, whether I'm making things for myself or testing out a new sort of a feature that's come out, or watching an interview or logging into a session. I'm always just like, yes, okay, yay, I'm excited. And that's something that I didn't have before. So I did choose this over anything that I had before.
It's so cool. It's so cool that you actually decided to step into your vision of your life, and just you decided to risk, and it was worth it all along. So that's amazing. And like another thing, like I'm incredibly wondering, and I'm just so curious. Your genre is incredibly like vivid and contrasted and beautiful and sci-fi, and I could name all of the synonyms to it, but like everyone gets it, because you literally allow people to transform themselves into like any character that you create in the AiR filter. So like where did this love come from? Like what's the backstory? Tell me everything about it. Like why is this the one?
I feel like I'm like yappering here, but I'll just scoot through it. I like how you mentioned the part where you said that I transform people into completely different beings or settings, whatever. But I think for me personally, it speaks to how, like, for a very long time, I felt like I didn't want to be myself, or I was afraid of myself. So it was easier for me to be all these wild, fanciful characters, because they could be everything that I wasn't. So if I felt like I couldn't be brave or powerful or confident, then, and it's a filter like, for example, Purple Dev or my Tentaculum Alphas, a sort of outward extension of my desire to be that fanciful character. So I like how filters allow us to do that and to sort of communicate that to, or invite people into our spaces or our minds. But I think also that also comes from, I've always loved sci-fi. I would watch The Matrix and sneaky movies, Terminator. No, not sneaky movies, but like I'd watch movies at night because my mom wouldn't allow me to watch movies because I had to be studying. But I'd do all my homework and I'd tell my dad, okay, Dad, I did my homework. And then he'd be like, okay, it's fine, come, we'll watch Scream or we'll watch something.
Like a guilty pleasure.
Movies. So I've always loved that. I've always loved fantasy books, sci-fi books, all of that stuff. So yeah. So I think that's definitely where I draw a lot of like my inspiration from, because I'm somebody that's always sort of like, I live in my head a lot, and I'm always sort of like thinking about the future. So it's like, you know, like what is it that exists out there?
Yeah.
If there were aliens that had to just drop out of the sky, what would they look like? What would they do? You know, so there's a that I was sort of always in my mind.
Yeah, I totally get it. All of those scenarios, like sometimes they're even like too much, but still you cannot escape them because it's so curious and it's so interesting what would actually happen. But it's actually funny. I love that you mentioned your childhood. So basically your AR effects are like your childhood not on a leash, like basically running free and expressing their fun.
Yes, I think my friends and my husband, they say all the time, they're like, you're aging in reverse, because like I was so immature. And I mean, I did have a really great childhood playing outside, drawing, but I spent a lot of time indoors because I wasn't allowed, not that I wasn't allowed to have friends, but I couldn't go out.
I spent
a lot of time indoors. So I had to keep myself entertained, and that's how I did. But anyway, so like, but I was sort of like, you know, focused on school and, you know, doing things the right way. And now I'm sort of like aging backwards because I'm getting tattoos and piercings. And people ask me, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I make filters for a living. And nobody understands, like, you know, what is that?
Yeah, you have to explain that. And they're like, they're even more confused about this later.
And then when you're happy and you smile, they're like, and you really like, I'm like, yeah, really, I love my job. I love it. It's fun. You know, I get to do everything and anything I want, you know, within the paradigms of the software. And that's exciting to me.
That's honestly amazing. Like, I totally love the concept. I love the ideas. Besides the whole effects, obviously. Even knowing your story, now I'm even more into it. Like, I didn't think that it's possible, but now I'm loving it even more. But like, I also wanted to say and appreciate the way you grew in this couple of months that you actually create effects, because like, as you said, you've started your journey like last year, let's say, and your skills like literally rapidly develop themselves. And it's a war because a lot of people like tend to improve themselves for a couple of years and they do not achieve what you did. So like, what's the secret? What's the magic potion? Like, what is it?
The secret potion, honestly, I honestly owe a lot of my growth and the motivation I had to grow to the community. I saw a lot of people posting like examples of their work, posting how to help each other and working through each other through problems or, you know, tricky scenarios. So having a community that like doesn't make you feel stupid for asking a question was one of the things that like drew me to it and makes me want to be active in it. So for me, the more I grow, the more I can sort of be of use to the community. So that for me is a driver. It's like a motivating factor for me, as well as the fact that there's so many tutorials and so much advice and so many people that you can look to in the community that can guide you and help channel you in the right direction. So it's not to say that I'm a genius. I definitely spent a lot of like late nights trying to perfect what it is I wanted to achieve. And I have this horrible habit where like if I don't like something, I won't rest until I get it right, or as right as I possibly can, you know. So I'm very internally motivated, but I think also the software is really great to work with. I think just being able to sort of like, there's so many ways that you can integrate other, like for example, your assets and stuff into the software, and I don't know, like
You're just very into the Metaspark, I guess.
yeah, like
I think it's
like,
your preferred platform.
yeah, I'm definitely like I'm super, super, super into it. Like, I find it like super straightforward. And like I said, there's a lot of documentation and a lot of like tutorials, like in-depth tutorials out there from people from the community. So it's a lot easier to learn because it's not like there's a secret place that you have to like pay for, get like knowledge. People are actually freely giving out advice and helping each other. So that's how I actually grew by relying on my friends in the community, and just seeing the resources that people provide and the experts in the community were providing. So honestly, I think that really was it for me.
Yeah, I think it's very important when you have a platform or a software where it's pretty straightforward, and like thankfully all of the platforms are kind of like that, but especially as you said, Metaspark is one of the biggest, obviously. And when you have kind of not even instruction, but there is so many resources, and as you said, all of you said, that people are so open to actually giving you some advices, because I totally agree that in this community there is, for me at least, there is nothing, gatekeeping is not a thing. Like there is no such thing as, oh, I won't tell you because it's a secret, because it's like a secret recipe of mine, because something. No, if someone will ask, they will definitely receive an answer from someone who knows how to do it. And this is basically how it works and how the community works. And this is, I think, the best motivation for others and the best way to actually learn something, just to collaborate and just to, get into it.
Yeah. And and like another thing I love about the community as well, you're speaking about like developing and growth, or for example, like some of the competitions and hackathons as well. Like if you're part of the community, then you have access to those opportunities. Okay, this is something that's coming up, so let me brush up on this skill, or let me be better this time around, or better for the next one. So that's definitely been like a catapult for growth for me, because I'm like, okay, well, maybe I didn't do this, very well in this competition, but the next time comes around, I need to make sure that I'm jacked up and I've got all the right skills in order to compete with all my favorite people, to feel right up there. And
Yeah, I totally get it, because also like competitions can be a very tricky part, because you tend to be even better, even bigger, and you really rely on this win because you do it for it. But still, apart from this, you have such a wide variety of effects that are created. You see all of other filters that are made specifically for this topic. You see how many possibilities there is. You inspire yourself, you inspire others, and all of that stuff. So it's generally like amazing how it works without even like having a double thought about it.
Yeah.
And I also like about the community, I know that you officially became a certified Spark AiR creator. Like, congratulations, because it's definitely an achievement. A round of applause, please. And you definitely deserved it. And I was wondering how an achievement like this affected your motivation and inspiration towards even creating even more AiR.
For sure. I think starting out, like one of the things that was sort of like holding me back was the lack of accreditation. Like, I don't know, I think as a creative souls, we have this thing where we sometimes think that we're not good enough in comparison to this person or that person, or even to ourselves. Like, you just feel like you're not good enough. And for me personally, having that accreditation was definitely something that I wanted in order to affirm the fact that, okay, like I'm really good at this and I really enjoy this, and this is something that has career prospects for me. And so when I was invited to join the creator camp, I had the opportunity to take the test, and I passed it the first time around. And
round of applause again, round of applause.
I'm super chuffed, but I mean, these are just the kinds of opportunities that you wouldn't have access to if you weren't part of the community, or if I'd never even decided to come into AiR in the first place. So it's been a very, very fulfilling year, and I really hope that we can go onwards and upwards from here.
I totally agree with you, like, honestly, because it's, as you said, if you're not a part of a community, you, as an individual, you have a very limited amount of access to everything. So it's just easier when you're a part of a crew, let's say.
Yeah.
And especially like you said that there was a lot of happening this year, and I totally agree with you. And with this rapid speed of both real and virtual world, the change of it, the amount that of new technologies and innovation that are coming into our life is among among anything, it's amazing. And how do you see basically your future in the AR world?
I honestly hope that I will still be in the creator space, creating for the metaverse, because I definitely think that that's where my calling is.
And do you have any ideas or dreams about how augmented reality will basically look like or create it out?
Yeah, so obviously, I'd love to stick to obviously all the Instagram stuff, but I recently got a Quest, so I'm definitely figuring that out, seeing what I can and can't do there, figuring things out. But I'd love to start going into more of designing games and stuff, because I do really enjoy that, but more interactive ones. Some I'm sort of on it's a bit of on the back burner for now, but that's definitely something I want to get into. But also, for example, 3D rooms. I find myself quite a lot on on VR, but something similar to that. But there's still so much more to learn. I'm still figuring it out. So I'm not really sure where it is I want to go, but I like sticking my hand in everything and figuring everything out. So. I don't know.
And if it's not a secret, how much hours do you spend a day in the AR world or VR world?
How much do I spend? Jeez.
All of the time.
Actually, no. So about 2 months ago, I actually took a bit of a break because I was actually spending way too much time.
We've noticed. Where are your new stuff? I'm so sorry.
Yes, I was getting back pain and stuff because I was sitting for about maybe 16, 17 hours a day at my busiest. Yeah, so there was this. I had projects to do and also personal projects. So but it was fun. But it was a lot of fun.
It was for your pleasure, but still.
It was. But I do spend a good portion of the day online and VR, so I'd probably say maybe about 8 to 10.
That's okay. That's okay. I think a lot of people spend even more, let's be honest.
Yeah. I'm really trying to be more holistic.
Good job. This is why manifestation works. This is why we have our time, because all of this stuff works, obviously. And I was also I saw that you recently had fun with Midjourney platform, with AI platform.
Ooh.
I see you did have fun. And in your opinion, can this way of creating art replace the traditional method of sculpting, drawing, music, or let's say semi-traditional like AR?
I don't think AI or platforms like Midjourney are here to replace anything. I think it's just an additional tool in this sort of ever-changing digital technological landscape progression, adaptation thing that we've got going. I mean, people flipped out when the camera came out in the 1920s and they thought that a painting was going to end and, the true artist's domain had come to an end. And that wasn't true. People said the same thing about television. When the television came out, they said that, oh my God, the photographer's career is dead. And that wasn't the truth. People said the exact same thing about MP3s and CDs and DVDs and this and that. Now we've got Netflix, all of these things. So I think AI arts is just the next best thing. And I found sort of playing around with it. It has different use cases. For example, if you want an original backdrop for a board game or for a logo for a t-shirt, hands down that if you go and use AI, you're not going to spend 5 or 6 hours trying to do it, spending it, doing it on Photoshop, whatever. You can literally type whatever it is you're thinking and give you an idea of what it is it thinks you want, and you can just take it from there. And sometimes it's actually so precise. I know Midjourney's got version 4 now, and it's so crazy. You can't even tell the difference now between AI sort of produced work or artworks versus like
any
photography
other type of work. Exactly.
or other types of work, but people are creating amazing things. People are making short stories, books, music videos, it's so many things. And I just really think it's just here to make our lives so much more easier. I think it's easier now as sort of like to say you're, especially as like an AR creator and artist, to say, okay, you know, I'm good at using AI because it has so many different uses. Like whether it's sometimes like even for the gallery, I don't know if I say this.
Of course, we'll get to it. It's the last question, but you can still send details now.
Okay, yeah, but
let's do that.
I did consult like Mid-Journey to sort of like confirm whether, you know, was this the idea that I wanted to go to, like what ideas was it going to give me, and was it in line with what I wanted to achieve and sort of my storyboard that I had going on there. So I really love it. I really love it. Like I recently, like my brother does music. He's a sort of doing music production. So he asked me, he said, hey, could you please sort of design me an album cover? And I said, well, what do you want on it? So he just gave me a string of phrases like this, that, this, that, this, that.
Yeah.
And I punched it in on Mid-Journey, did a few iterations, and there we have an album cover done in about 20 minutes. So I thought that would be amazing because you can produce, I want to say original artworks, because you're not going to find that sort of artwork.
Exactly, because it's one-time thing. This is it.
That's what I love about it, is that we can put in the same phrase and then we can have two different results.
Exactly. All we need to do is basically know how to type and combine the sentence that will be understood by the AI.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little. I'm also on like one of the groups for Mid-Journey, and there are certain ways to do, you know, play around with settings and stuff like that. But all in all, I think it's crazy. I love it. I think I go on Mid-Journey like once or twice a day at any given point. Even to proofread my ideas, I just go into Mid-Journey. I'm like,
it's like a game. It's became like a game for you, like, you know, to check what's happening. But still, as you've mentioned, it's still gonna be like a tool. So it's gonna be another paint for an art, let's say.
Definitely, I think it's definitely just another avenue for people to be able to express themselves, because it's quite inclusive in that the normal person can come and be creative. And that's what I like about these emerging technologies, is that they're so inclusive that I, having not conventionally landed up in this route or this career, can actually do it. So you could be sitting in a hut somewhere and you could be able to be included in the AR world. You could be sitting in a mountainous,
anywhere. You can be anyone.
Be anywhere and you can be a part of that. You don't have to have like a great deal of like skills, because a lot of the software is easy to use. And I love the fact that people are like normal, ordinary people have the ability to create and express themselves in this like sort of new digital landscape that we find ourselves in. And you'll find a lot of the content that I consume and I enjoy is just normal, ordinary people.
Of course. I think it's like way easier and way more entertaining to look and watch at what other people do on their regular basis. Like without any mask, without anything, just basically regular stuff. Because it's very like, you know, I do that too. I think about this too.
Yeah, but I think it's like filters and AR and AI, all of these things, they all speak to the inner human need to express yourselves. I think sometimes we tend to think that, just because I can't draw or just because I can't sing, I'm not an artist, I'm not a creative. Being a human being is a creative experience. And I think we tend to squash that down so much by, you know, fitting into these roles that society gives to us, that our jobs give to us, that it's just pushing out. And I see that so much on TikTok, where somebody could be a brain surgeon and they come and their passion, for example, is like cooking or making funny skits on the internet type. And I think it's really also good, you know, for your mental health and just for everybody to be able to express themselves.
Exactly.
Technology is accessible for people. So
exactly. I totally agree on 100%. I know we're getting into some deep talk and etc., but I just cannot skip this topic, because for me it's it's like, whoa. And I totally agree with you,
Yeah.
because every single one of us is such an individual that will not be repeated afterwards, and we were not repeated before us. So like we're here, we have all of this stuff, we can express ourselves. Why don't we do that? Why do we stick to things that someone told us this is going to be good for you? You do this. Oh, okay, I will do that. I will allow someone to control my life, or just their devices to control it or something. And it's very sad for me to understand that a lot of people actually don't live to their full potential because they're either too scared or don't even want to see other options that are literally laying in front of them because of all of those, like eyeglasses or something like that, that were just put there by absolutely no reason. They were just put there, and this is it. And this is so sad. And this is why for me, like all of those effects, AR, AI, as you said, is a way of expressing themselves again, because then people just tend to hide their reality stuff, their reality mask, and just uncover themselves, who they are.
Oh yes. I love the fact that like we're in this weird space in our sort of like civilization where we're bridging the gap between the digital world and the physical world. And I think that is so exciting. It's so exciting. It opens up so many avenues of possibility for creativity, for me to have a suit on in real life, but look like an intergalactic goddess in the digital world, But I also appreciate the fact that like we're also in an internet community or age that understands that people actually do have online personas and real life personas, that I could be super boring in real life but have a very active and like super awesome personality like online, and you can have those things, and you can sort of live by the conventional rules of society in the real world, but still live this expressive and immersive life in what I tend to imagine will be the ultimate like universe, or the sort of VR world where you can be anything you want to be.
Exactly, but because it's still a world, it's a world that's thriving actually.
Yes, and we are allowed to be more creative in it, because why would I want to have brown hair if I can have green hair in the metaverse? If I can have purple skin, like why not? What is stopping us?
Exactly. I totally agree with you. Like all of the words you say, exactly my thoughts. And I know that already you've mentioned a little bit we've talked about your gallery that's coming together with this interview. So please tell me and tell all of the viewers that are listening to us, watching us, what's the concept? What's the idea? What's gonna be there? Any secrets? Spill it out.
Yeah. Well, so I was, so you gave me the theme that was out of this world, and I thought about it. I was like, what does that mean to me? So I really sat for a long time. I was like, oh gosh, I was thinking maybe something sci-fi, futuristic, cyber tech, blah, blah, blah. But then I also thought about like how I currently, not currently feel, but just like a lot of my art sometimes tends to speak to like some sort of like emotion that I have like going through. So sometimes I feel like being creative can be very lonely. And sometimes you feel sort of like isolated from the world at large. Like you feel like in a weird way you're out of this world, but not in a sort of not so grand, like good way, like you come in within yourself. But the crazy thing is that even when you're in this like little world within yourself, it's so vast. And then I also think about how vast the internet is and how vast space is. And I think that's where I sort of drew the whole sort of space idea, space core aesthetic that I chose, and sort of the lonesome astronaut. And that, sometimes as people, we're just these travelers in this vast universe of information, technology, feelings, emotion. And I don't know, but I also just wanted to capture the beauty of it. So we've got like elements of like a flower field going on there, sort of like intergalactic, sort of planetary themes. So I don't know what Ola's got cooking up there, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. And then I've got some surprise 3D assets that I will be sending through. But I'm just really hoping to try and link it through with the filter that we'll be doing as well. So hopefully the theme comes across.
I think the
But
result will be amazing. I honestly
yeah,
think the result will be amazing, especially with the concept and the history. It's gonna be
yeah,
wow.
yeah. And there'll be lots of hopefully sparkles and like sort of like rainbow bright colors. I can't do without bright colors. I love them.
There's no other way. Again, why do you need to be
Way.
boring in the virtual world? You have to express yourself to the max.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes,
Exactly. So, okay, this all from my side. This is all the questions. I'm incredibly thankful for you being here. Thank you very much to you. Thank you to all of the people who watched us, listen to us again. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, guys. It was absolutely a pleasure. I hope you guys don't kill me because I spoke too much.
No way. Absolutely no way. It wasn't too much. It was absolutely amazing. And I think everyone enjoyed it. Everyone enjoyed it because that's the key. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys. Love you.